Ffarquhar Quarry is one of the busiest quarries on the island of Sodor. It is run by 3 diesels. One of them is Mavis. She is a kind and courteous diesel. Though a bit feisty, her friendly nature brings success and efficiency, and all the other engines appreciated that, even Toby the tram engine. However, the other 2 diesels, Splatter and Dodge, are quite the opposite. They do get their work done, but in a very troublesome and awkward way, and can get up to all kinds of mischief. Mavis finds that behavior very annoying. So whenever the twins stir up trouble, she is always there to nip their behavior in the bud. Recently, a large order of stone was needed at 3 harbors each in 3 days, much to the distress of Mavis and dismay of Splatter and Dodge. So, the Fat Controller ordered Duck to go and help them. Duck hadn't been on Thomas's branch line in a while and was glad of the change. Percy was waiting at Ellsbridge with his mail train when he heard a whistle he knew all too well. Then Duck bustled up. "Hello, Duck," Percy grinned. "Great to see you." "Great to see you too, Percy," Duck said with a smile. "Well, what brings you here then?" "I've been asked to help Mavis with a big order at the quarry." "You are the right engine for the job, although you might want to be careful around Splatter and Dodge." "Well, why for?" Duck asked. "They are bound to cause all sorts of trouble," Percy answered. "And just last week they asked the trucks to give Thomas a good push, and mind you, it didn't go well for him." "Whoa! Stop! Stop! Oh no! Thomas, look out! Ah! Brake Sharper! Brakes, now! Whoa! Ooh. Cinders and ashes! Oh dear, Thomas, are you okay? "I think so. You stupid trucks."
Can't you take a joke?
"Anyhow, don't let Splatter and Dodge get the better of you, Duck," Percy continued. "You are a Great Western after all." "Indeed," agreed Duck proudly. "After all, there are only 2 ways of doing things. The Great Western way and the wrong way." "That's the Duck I know," smiled Percy knowingly. Duck soon arrived at the quarry. "We're glad you're here to help us," said Mavis. "Same here," Duck said. Compliments of the Fat Controller. Splatter and Dodge weren't happy to see Duck. "Oh no, not that Great Western waddler," groaned Splatter. "First Thomas, then Percy, and now..." "Don't forget Toby," added Dodge. "He once played a trick on us at the ironworks." The 2 diesels groaned, remembering. "In all seriousness," Splatter continued, "why can't Sir Tom Hack get more modern engines? Like us, for example." Before Mavis could even scold them, Duck took the honor. "Now you 2 listen to me. I am here to help with a big order, so I demand none of your nonsense." Splatter and Dodge were indignant. "What gives you the right to poke your funnel up here and order us about?" grumbled Splatter. "Why can't you let us do what we like?" snapped Dodge. "This is a quarry, not a football field," inquired Duck. "Now I suggest you 2 get to work right now and no playing games." Throughout the day, Duck kept a watchful eye on the twins. "Get your trucks ready to be loaded with stone." "Careful, Buffalo Bucket." "Wait until your trucks are full." Mavis wanted to be more sympathetic. "You just don't need to be too hard on them," she said. "I only wanted them to get the job done correctly," Duck sighed. That night, Duck couldn't sleep. Keeping Splatter and Dodge in order was exhausting, and he was hoping to go back to the Little Western. As he glanced around, he noticed a figure of a workman standing near a line of trucks. Duck was confused. "No one would want to be outside at this time of night. What on earth is he doing out here?" he thought. The figure then walked to the other side of the trucks, now out of view. Suddenly, a clanking noise drifted through the air. What is he doing to the trucks? Duck gasped. Then, as if on cue, the ladder trucks began to roll slowly by themselves, filling the empty space where the figure should have been standing. Where did he go? Said Duck in alarm. The trucks continued to roll down the sidings until they derailed. Duck had been horrified at what happened. He glanced over at the three diesels, who were still sleeping. They couldn't have seen what happened. Duck thought it best to go to sleep and tell them what happened in the morning, so he closed his eyes and finally drifted off to sleep. The next morning, the workmen discovered the derailed trucks and prepared to derail them. Duck sat and watched the operation. Mavis pulled up. Do you have any idea what happened here, Duck? She asked. I think I saw a workman setting their trucks off that night, replied Duck, and when the trucks started to move, he disappeared. Did you say you saw a workman derail the trucks and then disappear that night? Yes, I did. Why? Mavis's face fell. Oh, you must have seen him. Him? Duck asked confused. Did you know that workman? Yes, sighed Mavis. Toby told me all about him. Apparently, he used to work at the quarry when it first opened, even way before I came to Sodor. Then she began the story. The workman's name was Old Lance, and from what Toby told me about him, he was a very grumpy and impatient man who always wanted everything to go at a fast pace. The other workmen tried to warn him to be careful, but he took little notice. Not long after Toby arrived on Sodor, the manager at the time had decided to fire Old Lance as he had had enough of his grumpy and impatient behavior. So Old Lance did leave the quarry after he was fired and never returned. What happened to him? Ventured Duck. Nobody knows, replied Mavis. But on clear nights, many workmen claim to have seen Old Lance causing all sorts of trouble at the quarry. Some say it was the ghost of him. Others say it was just a mere coincidence that are nothing too serious and can do no harm. Mere coincidence? Repeated Duck. Nothing serious and no harm? I saw him send the trucks off the rails. I know you did, Duck, Mavis said, as legend has it that Old Lance still haunts the quarry, derailing the trucks and making the tools go missing. Splatter and Dodge had heard everything and were not convinced. That story is a load of nonsense, Splatter grunted. We have heard ghost trains before, and people ones are absolutely no different, added Dodge. Duck knew what he saw, scolded Mavis. Now you two better get the truck sorted right this instant. So the twins did. Never mind about Splatter and Dodge, Duck, reassured Mavis. They're just being crackpots. Now let's get to work. Right, Duck agreed. The rest of the day was uneventful. The engines just did their work, and no more was said about Old Lance. Until that night, Duck was on patrol for Old Lance. He glanced all around the quarry, but saw no sign, and after finally giving up, Duck closed his eyes and went to sleep. No sooner he did that, the sound of footsteps drifted through the air, and the temperature began to drop too. Dodge heard the walking sounds coming towards him and started to wake up, but then, out of the corner of his eye, his scream woke Splatter up. Dodge, what's up with you? Yikes! Both twins watched in horror as the figure of a workman stood before them. What really scared them was that the figure had two big, round, wide, glowing eyes, staring back at them, staring coldly at their souls. The figure then began to make its way towards the shed and towards the frightened diesels. Once it made it, the figure went into Dodge's cab. Hey! Get out of my cab! Dodge called, but the figure didn't listen. It had other ideas. Instead, it turned on Dodge's engine. Then, all of a sudden, Dodge felt himself slowly rolling out of the shed. Help! Help! I'm moving! Cried Dodge. Mavis and Duck woke up suddenly. Both they and Splatter watched in horror as Dodge rolled down his line until he derailed on the points that were set against him. You okay, Dodge? Splatter called out. I think so, Dodge called back. Duck was just about to go and derail Dodge when he spotted Old Lance standing right in front of him and staring coldly at him. Duck was at first scared, but then he stood his ground. Beg pardon, Old Lance, but you are not wanted here, he said crossly. Manager fired you years ago, did he not? Mavis and the twins were shocked, but the man continued to stare at Duck. I have heard about your downfall. continued Duck. I don't know what happened to you in the end, but I have absolutely no sympathy for you. The man began to snarl. You are wasting your time causing problems here, Duck snarled back. First you derailed the line of trucks, and now you derailed Dodge? What you are doing is certainly not the Great Western way. The man growled loudly. I am not afraid, bellowed Duck. What happened to you was in the past, and you need to put it behind your back. And furthermore, leave and never return! Silence fell. And then after a while, Duck noticed that old Lance's eyes had stopped glowing and was now looking apologetically at him and at what he did. And before Duck could say anything, the man turned, walked a mile, and vanished. Is he gone? Mavis asked hopefully. Yes, Mavis, replied Duck proudly. He is now. Soon the big order was completed, and it was time for Duck to go back to the Little Western. You were very brave standing at the old Lance, Duck, congratulated Mavis. No wonder they call you Great Western. Ah, well, chuckled Duck. It's just a knack. Thank you, Mavis. And thank you, Mavis said with a smile. Hope you have a safe travel. I will, Mavis, whistled Duck. Bye, everyone. Even Splatter and Dodge had to admit that Duck is a very heroic engine, even if he can still come across as a fuddy-duddy.